So we last spoke at the start of summer, and you've recently given a little bit of an update to the fans in one of your regular open letters. Just how's everything been since summer, start of the season, how's everything going?
I think from our perspective, we always talk about communication, and that's why we do the open letters from myself and from Mickey, because we want to let people know what's happening, and that's why we're here today. And we've asked to speak with yourselves to show that we don't just communicate when things are going really well. We also want to let people know what's happening when we're going through a bit more of a tougher time than we have been previously. From our perspective, when we last spoke, we were talking about recruitment, and then in the open letter we talked about the recruitment that we've done, and it would be pretty hypocritical of me to then suddenly turn around and say we're not happy with the recruitment, because from our perspective we brought in 22 professionals as we planned to. The head coach outlined the players that he wanted to bring in. We brought the majority of those to the football club. We're happy with the people that we brought through the door. We did mention that we had to do the business quite late in the window, which obviously impacts on the ability of the players to be able to play within the style that the head coach is looking to do. So have we had the best start to the season, and have we got as many points as what we would have wanted at this point? Probably not. But are we seeing green shoots at times? And then we are. And ultimately the head coach is the person that selects the players, chooses a style, tries to play an attractive brand of football, which I think we're all pleased to see. But we just need to turn some of those performances and some of those things into victories, and we'll start hopefully see a better part to the season. We've had a really tough start in terms of the teams that we've played, and we've got more tough games to come, but it's a long season, and as we start to get used to playing together, then we're confident that we can turn around the current performances that we've got.
Obviously the topic of a lot of these chats we have is often about investment. We talk about it a lot. Is there any update on the investment front?
Yeah, there is actually. I think, is this the time when we play bingo and talk about, tell them we've actively engaged in conversations? Oh no, that's my most recent one actually. Actively seeking succession, I think, was the one before. But no, we are currently in talks with a number of different parties, so we have progressed that. Those talks are subject to NDAs, as they would be at this time, but the conversations are ongoing. They're promising. Can we give any specific updates as to who they are and what stage they're at? We can't, but those conversations are happening as we speak. The part with that is we can't disclose it now, and unfortunately, until something comes to fruition, we won't be able to go into that. And even if things don't come to fruition, we can't necessarily give the outcomes afterwards. I know supporters would like that, and anything we can communicate, we will. But there are things that are bound by terms of non-disclosure agreements. But yes, we're hopeful that something can be done.
As much as you can say, do you have maybe a bit of a time scale of when you think something might be done?
I think from our perspective, we'd like to get something done as soon as possible. We're in a position where we've made a lot of changes at the club to try and make us as attractive to investors as possible. We've opened the door to as many people as we can. We've got people actively in the market trying to help us with that journey of selling the club. In terms of does that happen overnight, definitely it doesn't. These things are subject to not only due diligence processes on the purchaser's part, but also on our part, to make sure that after all the work the chairman's done over 28 years, he doesn't just want to sell it to the first person that knocks on the door without checking what their plans are for the club, for the supporters ongoing. In an ideal world, you'd have something done before a transfer window, because then that owner, director could then come in and make a difference in that window. But from our perspective, we keep the talks ongoing, and we try and do things as easily and as quickly as we can. But everything, there's no time scale, unfortunately, that we can put on an exact time when it will be done.
You say the phrase you're in talks. In terms of people that don't work in football, what does that mean? What are the processes you go through when someone says, I'm interested in investing in your club, these are the steps? What are they?
I think one of the challenges that we faced, and one of the reasons why we go back to we're seeking investment or we're engaged in conversations, is because there's a lot of people out there that tell you they want to buy a football club. What we have to work out is who actually wants to do that, and go through securement, checking people have the right credentials, the proof of funds, wanting to get engaged into a conversation that has got NDAs attached to it, so you can start really talking about what you're purchasing, when you want to do it, what sort of money you're looking to invest, because ultimately we want to sell to the right people. We don't just want to pass this on and it become it's been owned by the same person for 28 years. We want to make sure that we've got that long-term succession as well. So once you get past the conversation, you'd go to an exclusivity period where you'd deal with one party and continue that journey through due diligence and then look to make a decision afterwards. Is the general process. Everything though is subject to the owners and directors tests of the EFL, and again that has a time period attached to it, and you could do everything that you wanted to do, and if it doesn't pass that test, unfortunately you'd be back to the drawing board again. So everything's always taken with a pinch of salt, and also we assume the best intent at all times.
So you're not in that exclusivity period with someone yet, or are you?
We're not in an exclusivity period at the moment, but we do have numerous parties at the table who are subject to non-disclosure agreements, hence why I can't talk about them today, but that means we have taken a step forward based on previous times that we've spoken.
Something you spoke about before is obviously the investment that Roland and Duncan are still putting into the club. Is that still to the same extent as they were, or is that reducing because of all the revenues and stuff?
I think, okay, you have to kind of take a step back in that I walked through the door and we'd just lost over £3 million, the worst financial performance the club have put on record. So we were in quite dire straits at the time, and at that point we were looking at, you do the maths, at £3 million, how much money the chairman was having to put in each month to try and get the club to survive. What have we done since I've walked through the door is try and address that, try and cut the losses as much as possible, and our financial year ended in June, just gone. We recently put out in my programme notes that due to the changes that we've made with finances, and we're really proud of this, is we've decided we're going to publish our accounts 4 months earlier than normal this year, which will be within this calendar year, which I think shows, we did it for 3 reasons. One is to show the way the football club is run now from a financial perspective. We've got a handle on that. The second one is to show any potential investor that the last set of audited accounts doesn't now say £3 million loss, it says a lot less than that. Now you're going to ask me, what does the new number say? And I'm not going to tell you that until the actual audited accounts are out there, but in real terms we want to showcase the great work that we've done in bringing that down, and that's credit to Andy Crane, our finance director, to Duncan, the vice chairman, and all the team getting on board with how we can save that money. We're really proud of it. Going back to your original question, the club can't just go from losing £3 million to being sustainable and profitable overnight. So the journey has always been a longer process, and how much money we can reduce that by. So what it means now is, even if we will still post a loss, but that loss is a lot less than what it was. So in case of each month, are we going to the chairman cap in hand for more money for him to support the football club? At one stage that was every month, that was 6-figure sums. What we have now is a better process where we can try and cash flow forecast as to where we need to be to get us through the season. So it's not a case of there's a day in demand on the chairman, but there will still be support needed, and gratefully received by the football club for the work that the chairman and the new vice chairman have done getting us to this stage, and hopefully that journey will continue.
Obviously that's good news. How have you done that?
There's been a lot of things. So we talk about, I mean, just recently we've got events coming back to the football club. We've got stuff that grows the revenue. We've got TNS coming here. That's another thing that will help out us going forward. We've got the women's football international here. There's things that side, but really the biggest change is the savings that we're making on players that were here in previous regimes to where we are now. We have achieved a lot of savings with the playing budget, which is a lot of the cost model within a football club, but also across the board is where can we save money? Is that through renewing contracts at better rates? Is that through choosing new providers? Is that through actually doing things in-house rather than outsourcing them? It's those kind of things that make the difference in the bigger numbers as we try and achieve that goal that we set out to achieve.
You mentioned TNS, obviously good news to have some European football. What will that mean for the club?
We're really happy to be able to accommodate TNS, our neighbours, for this game. I think one of the things that we need to say is this game is not just about Shrewsbury Town or TNS. It's about us working together to try and do the right thing for Shropshire, for Shrewsbury, for Oswestry, for people in this area to actually not only see the European football, but for the local businesses, for the tourism, for the benefit that we'll have of new people coming to this area, spending the money in this community. which is what we wanted to do and why we set out. Of course, there's a financial benefit to us for doing that, but at the same time, it's about showcasing our club, our stadium, and working together with local partners to try and make this area as attractive as possible and help people as much as we can.
Yeah, that revenue again is just another thing to add, I guess, back to what, the loss.
Definitely. I mean, we set out to do it with them for that reason. We want to look at every possible opportunity to bring in that additional revenue that we can. And if that's accommodating other teams here, if that's in future trying to get concerts back here, if that's extending the amount of match days that we can have, not necessarily our match days or not necessarily matches at all, but by increasing them incrementally each year, that's how you grow the revenue line. The same way in terms of our hospitality. We have a business that runs 365 days a year. We've had people around from UEFA this week, and we can't get in our own conferencing suites to show them round because we're that busy. The team do a fantastic job of selling those parts of the business, and that's the other side that people don't necessarily see, where we're growing our revenue each day is by trying to attract people into the stadium on every day that's not a match day, as well as the 25-26 games that we have per season.
You spoke about recruitment in the summer. Did you work within the set budget that you would have set? How did it work within the budget that you set?
I think whether I said it or Mickey said it in our previous open letter to the supporters, we did set out a budget. We think we did a very good job of attracting the players that we did within the budget that we did, and that's credit to everybody that's involved with the recruitment, the head coach, the head of recruitment, the director of football. Everybody had a part to play in that. We got a squad together that we were happy with, but as the season started, we got hit with a couple of injuries to important players, and as a result of that, we did go back into the transfer market, and the chairman was gracious enough to fund the extra money towards the budget for us to bring in a couple of players on deadline day that will then hopefully help us in our journey this season.
Obviously, it's only the end of September, but fans will look ahead and they'll look to January and kind of the transfer window. Then will there be scope again, come January to potentially, if there's any free agents, potentially bring anyone in?
I think right now we've got to work with the squad that we've got in front of us. We're yet to see some of our new signings due to injuries. We've seen them on a very brief period. Look forward to getting that chemistry right within the players that we've got. January is a long way away. There's a lot of football between then and now. We could be in a very different position at that stage. So we're hopeful that we start clicking into place, the goals start coming, and then we're having a different conversation in January. So, of course, our recruitment team are always looking. They're watching games. They're out. They work so hard. That's the manager. That's the assistant manager. That's director of football. That's head of recruitment. They're all out there every day watching games of all levels. They're watching our academy players. They're watching so much football in order to be able to put the best squad together, whether that be changes in January or whether that be next season. It's always all about building that knowledge base for the next step, or trying to get the best possible recruitment done. Right now, we concentrate on the squad that we've got, and we try and get the results as we can as soon as possible.
You've spoken positively about fan engagement. We've seen recently, the most season tickets sold, fans getting involved with picking the kit. Is there anything more upcoming where fans can get engaged with the club?
I think it's about continuing what we've started with that. We came in and it was a pretty low base to build on. We've made some great stride forward with that, if that's just coming from me. But I think if you ask the supporter base, that's what we're hearing. What we'd like to do is just keep doing it more often. So the kit this year, as you mentioned, we've got local children, local schools designing the away kit. Credit to our kit provider Oxen for giving us the opportunity to do that. There'll not be many clubs out there that get given the chance, but then actually go ahead and do it. Great work from the foundation, putting that out into schools, SEN schools as well, because we want to try and get those people engaged at a young age. Last year it worked really well with the women designing the third kit and their away kit. This year we've gone for a bigger target area, because if we can get every young kid in a Shrewsbury school or a Shropshire school designing the kit, who are they going to go home and tell their mum and dads about? Who are they going to want to come and support? And it's difficult to attract young supporters in this day and age with the huge clubs that are out there, the European football that you see on the TV. So from our perspective, we want them going home and designing a Shrewsbury kit and telling the mum, dad, the carers that they want to come to a game on the weekend. So that next generation is probably where we'll focus a lot more of our efforts, but that doesn't mean we stop doing consulting people on decisions. We have regular fan engagement panel meetings where we talk about big decisions, and that will continue to happen. And we still, the door is always open for people with ideas to try and help us in that perspective.
You mentioned a number of different parties. Are they separate parties? So like you've got two groups interested in the club, or are they kind of lots of people in like a consortium that are interested in the club?
Different sets of people. So if you've got one set's a consortium, one set's another consortium, one set's another. When I say different people, it's not just one set of people at the table in a group. It's separate people that we're speaking to at the moment.
Okay, right. Are they different to the people that you were speaking to back in January?
Yes.
These different
people.
Yeah. Is it any further ahead than it was with the previous group? Because I think it was back in January when you kind of said that the club were in talks with two separate buyers. Is the process now further along than it previously was?
It would be, yeah, because we're now looking at going into an exclusivity period, but we've got to look at the right deals and make sure we're doing the right thing for the football club. The fact that they're now subject to NDAs means there's not much more I can say at that stage, but there are people that we're talking to, and once you get to that stage, it's one step ahead from the talks that you enter into when someone first comes through the door.
So that's a positive then, that it's further on than it was at January. So
definitely,
there is
definitely positive.
I know you've mentioned the phrase when we kind of joked about it, like seeking new investment or what have you. But can I ask you to clarify what that means? That is in terms of somebody to come in and buy the football club, or is that in terms of someone to kind of invest some money in to kind of help with the day-to-day running of the things? Can you clarify what that means?
I think in layman's terms, the ideal scenario is it's someone to buy the football club. But where we are, we're not shutting the doors on any potential opportunity for investment. You look at other clubs that are out there, I'm not going to name names, but they go down a certain model where they've retained the current ownership and they bring new people in. Our view is the chairman wants succession. So he wants to, he's run this football club in a fantastic way for a long period of time. He'd like someone to come in now and take it. We've got, the foundations are all built, we just need somebody to be able to take it to the next level.
I suppose there's been some changes at board level. Duncan Montgomery's gone from finance manager to vice chairman. How come that kind of change has come about, just out of curiosity?
Sorry, I was having to drink my coffee
That's
then.
all right.
So Duncan's, as first of all, along with the chairman, both of them have been supporting the club financially, as I mentioned in the interviews now, with a zero interest, which is very unusual in football. They're doing it from the fact of a love of Shrewsbury Town, and Duncan in particular supporting the chairman, who he's known a long time and wanted to, when asked for who can support us in this journey, Duncan stepped forward. And I think the move to vice chairman was more than a succession thing, was about the fact is a reward, say thank you for the support that he's given to the football club at this stage. He continues to remain somebody that not only is a successful local business person, but also gives his time to support Andrew Crane and the finance team on a daily basis. And it's so nice to have someone with his expertise and his experience to be able to offer that point of view within a board meeting from an unpaid facility. In fact, he's lending us the money to come and sit there. We can't thank him enough for what he does for the football club and the impact that he has when he's here.
There's been some changes on Companies House to some of the club's kind of shares. There's a company called Blue and White UK Holdings. I was wondering if you could clarify kind of what that means in terms of the Companies House.
Yeah, so I've been educated on this myself in the last few weeks. So in order to be a director of a company, you must have shares. So I've now officially got 25 shares in Shrewsbury Town, which is out of the millions that are out there. I'm quite a proud owner of those.
Okay.
But Duncan's shares are under Blue and White Holdings. I think there's 45 shares that are allocated to that particular company. Duncan also had to have shares to then be on the board as a director, so that's the main reason for that being there. The changes within the board, as we've mentioned just then, is I'm now on Companies House, as is Duncan was already, but the change in his role. For myself, it was about hopefully the longer term presence of Shrewsbury Town within EFL boards or FA boards or any sort of panel that's out there within the football governing bodies, in order to be selected or even be put your name forward to be on those panels, you must be a director within Companies House, not just the CEO of a football club, which some would argue is strange because you've already got that power. But from our perspective, I want to try and get Shrewsbury Town into those positions, and in order to do so, I need to become a director of Companies House. I'm grateful to the chairman, to Duncan, for inviting me and offering me the position to do that.
And just away from that slightly, I suppose, what would your message to supporters be that are perhaps concerned about the immediate future or long-term future of the club, obviously given kind of the start of the season? And obviously I know you've given us some positive news with regards to kind of a potential takeover, but obviously with the accounts last year, what would your message be to supporters?
I think the overarching message I've got to give is we want people to stay with us. We understand people will be frustrated when clubs don't win football matches. Our strategy, or my strategy since I've come to the club, is to try and make the football club be a club for more than just 90 minutes. So it's not necessarily just about that result, it's about the fantastic work the foundation are doing, nominated for awards, having Sky TV down here showcasing the work, EFL TV down here showcasing the work, the media team being nominated for national awards. These kind of things are good news stories. They are what our club is about, and the outreach we can have. The people who work here work their absolute socks off to be here, and when we lose football matches, the supporters are upset, but believe me, the staff work so hard, and it hurts them even more because they don't just have to sit on the Saturday, they have to work through it for the week, and everybody's pulling together so hard here on and off the pitch that we'd love the supporters to be with us on that and come with us on. Yes, there'll be some bad times, but hopefully it'll be worth it with the good times that are there to become as well. And it's a lot easier for players to perform if everybody's on side and supporting together than what it is if we've got fractions that are not necessarily on board. Totally get that people want better performances, totally get that people want to win football matches, but we just want to give ourselves the best chance by turning up on a weekend, roaring the team on, and as long as we're giving as best as we can, giving the support that hopefully the players deserve.